He just had dinner and he has the crazies after he eats dinner. Stanley, look at the audience. He's so pretty, but he's just so crazy sometimes. It's like a madhouse in here. Craziness. Hey guys, it is Kirsten, aka Kiki, whatever you prefer, I don't care. It's been a little while since I've seen you. It's been a few weeks, and I didn't die, although it kind of felt like I almost did. So, first of all, if you're new to my channel, welcome. I went vegan over a year ago. And I'm on a journey to get to my healthiest self. And that's what this channel is about. I do recipes, I do all the things. So I'd love it if you'd subscribe. And to everyone else, you might have noticed my channel has a new name. I've taken a lot of time to think about this. I mean, since I went vegan, I kind of knew I wanted to come up with a better channel name. And I finally decided on Plantifully Kiki, because I like the word plantifully, even though it's not a word. It is now. I've made it one. Well, actually, I think someone else probably did before me, but that's alright. So, subscribe to this video. Like this video. Subscribe to this channel. See, it's been a while. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. So today we're just going to have a little chat about my health journey, and I'm going to give you a little health update. Last time I talked to you about my health, we talked about blood work I had done and an ECG, and basically according to my doctor, I was in perfect health. So veganism was doing great things for me. It had gotten rid of my asthma. It's done a lot. Oh, sorry, I moved you. It's done a lot of awesome things for me, but I had a health problem in January. Well, it started kind of in December, I guess, but I didn't really realize it was an issue then. I was having these like attacks at night, and I thought it was just like acid reflux, because it would often happen if I ate too close to bedtime, or if I ate like some vegan junk food that I wouldn't normally have. That sometimes caused it, but then it started happening more frequently. And so I went back to my doctor, and she ran a bunch of tests, and we did an ultrasound and determined that my gallbladder was full of stones. And so the first thing I did was say, how do we fix this? And the doctor said, based on how my gallbladder looked, the only option that she would recommend would be removing it. So I live in Canada. We have free healthcare. It's pretty great, but there's wait times because of that, because everyone can get it. Sorry guys, I just almost died for a minute there. I choked on my own spit. Like and comment down below if you've done that. I seem to do it a lot. I struggle with general things in life, you know. So anyway, as I was saying, she figured out that I needed to have my gallbladder removed. And my first reaction was, what's the alternative? Is there something more natural? Something like, because she said to me, the rest of your body's in perfect health. All your other organs look great. Your blood work is good. It's literally just you have a gallbladder full of stones. And so I was really confused. So she said, well, you have some time to figure it out, but let's get you on the waiting list for surgery so that if you decide to have it, hopefully it'll happen not too long from now. So first thing I did was I started doing research, and I got a lot of mixed information. I had posted in a few of the vegan groups on Facebook asking if anyone else had experienced anything like this and what they did, and I had probably about like 70% of people saying that they had the surgery. And I would say of that, 3/4 of them were happy that they did it. And then there was like 1/4 of them that had horror stories about how it didn't go well for them. So then the rest of the people were saying to try these cleanses. But then I did some research and found out that those cleanses can be very dangerous, because if you do these cleanses to try to get the stones out of your body, the stones can move and get lodged in your bile duct, or they can cause pancreatitis. It can damage your liver. And if you have to have your gallbladder removed, your liver is now doing all the work, because the liver's here and the gallbladder kind of sits inside of it. It's just like a little guy in there. Your gallbladder's only like that big, and he's only 3 to 4 ounces. He's pretty small. So then I got kind of scared of cleanses, because at first I was all game to try this, but then it was like, but all these people were saying that they did try it and ended up in the hospital having an emergency because it gave them bad reactions because stones got lodged. So, plus, I didn't just have a few stones in my gallbladder. My gallbladder was full of stones. So getting rid of that many stones seemed a little bit too much for a cleanse situation. So I started kind of warming up to the idea of surgery, but at the same time I was angry because, like, I'm vegan and I have been for a year. How do I have gallstones? Because I did the research and found out that the main cause of gallstones is cholesterol. I don't get any cholesterol. But there is also hormonal influences that can cause them, especially being a young female that is fertile, fair-skinned, and fat. So all that apparently has an effect on whether or not you will get them. And then there's also the fact that they could have been in there for up to 10 years. So the stones may not be new, my body just may be trying to get rid of them now, which might be what's causing irritation. And so at that point it was like, well, it sounds like the only option is going to be to get this thing out of me. So I had a few things going on those next few weeks, and I was still waiting to hear back from the doctor to see when I would be able to get it done. But then I started getting worse. In January, I got really sick. I had the worst gallbladder attack yet. I thought I was going to die. It lasted like 8 hours. And then after that attack, my pain never went away. So I had another week of constant pain. And the pain, like, it was right in my sternum, like right where your bra starts at the bottom. And it went right through to my back and then right over to where the gallbladder is, which is right under your right rib. And so I started to realize that I probably wasn't going to make it until a scheduled surgery date. But I had a makeup appointment and a few other things going on, so I just had to survive that week. That was all I had to do. I told myself, you just have to make it till Saturday afternoon, and then if you have to go to the hospital, you have to go to the hospital. And Saturday afternoon, I ended up with a fever and just feeling really horrible. I was nauseous. I couldn't eat anything. I got really bad. So I had no choice. My doctor had told me if you get worse, you need to go to the hospital, and then you get bumped right up the list for surgery because you're now an inpatient and they want to get rid of you. So I went to the hospital. They had me on 3 different painkillers because I was in such a state, and they admitted me right away, like really quickly, for a Canadian hospital, because normally you're in there for like a day before you can get a bed, but they got me in right away, and I was in rough shape. And then to have surgery, you have to fast. So the first night I went to the hospital, they started me on fasting, and it's also no water. No water. That's really hard for me. So I couldn't have any food or water, and they were hoping they could get me in for surgery the next day. So I fasted for 30 hours. And then the next night, finally at like 11 o'clock, they said, looks like it's not happening today because there was a snowstorm and there were some car accidents. So they had like emergency situations happening all day. So I was bumped down the list. So I was allowed to try and eat something. But honestly, food was not appetizing at that point. I felt so awful. And then go to bed and start fasting again at midnight. So I did. And I did a whole other 24-hour period of fasting, only to find out that the surgery was not happening the next day either because there were too many emergencies. So finally, on the third day, I started fasting. And the doctor was like, listen, the other hospital where you live, it's an outpatient facility, so it's only like scheduled things that happen there. He was like, they have an opening today because there was a cancellation, and it's one of my colleagues over there. He can do your surgery today at 1, but you'd have to get over there yourself because we can't arrange a transport in time. And I was like, deal, I'll do whatever you want. So I went, I had the surgery. And the doctor was pretty shocked at how bad my gallbladder was because it was extremely inflamed and infected on top of all the stones. And he just kept telling me afterwards, like, it's okay. It's in the garbage now. Sorry. It's in the garbage now. Don't worry. It's in the garbage now. I'm like, okay, whatever makes you happy. Poor Golly. I named him Golly. And he had to go. After 27 years together, he gave up on me. But anyway, so they removed it. And after surgery, I was in the worst pain of my life. It was rough. I was on morphine and could barely move. But each day it got a little bit better. It was pretty brutal though. I was in rough shape and I had to kind of slowly reintroduce foods. But the one good thing that the doctor said was, you're going to do really well because you're vegan. He said the most inflammatory foods for people with or without a gallbladder are animal products because they're full of cholesterol and they cause a lot of inflammation in the body, and oils and fatty foods. And I don't really consume much oil. I keep it to the bare minimum, and it's not like I eat a lot of deep fried foods or anything. So he's like, you're gonna heal a lot easier than a lot of people. So that was kind of reassuring to know that my veganism wasn't for nothing. Like, of course, I'm doing it for ethical reasons, but that it was still healthy for me was really reassuring to hear it from a doctor, because I kind of started to, not that I ever would not be vegan at this point, because I know the environmental impact and the impact on the animals is so important. But at the same time, it was like, but it's not helping my body. Like, I'm trying so hard to eat all these healthy foods, and I'm cooking all the time, and I'm eating as clean as I can, and yet I'm still having these issues. But I finally accepted the fact that some things you just can't prevent. Especially when I spent the last 26 years of my life eating lots of junk. And even though I was vegetarian for 8 years before, I ate a lot of dairy. I was a cheese addict, and that's a lot of cholesterol that was going into my body. So unfortunately, I couldn't undo all the damage that I had already done to my body. But I can be healthier now. So that's where things got a little complicated though, because I had the surgery. And then after being home for about 5 days, all of a sudden I had what felt like a gallbladder attack. It was really horrible. I was throwing up. I was in brutal pain. It felt like I was gonna die. And I was like, what is going on? But I had a follow-up appointment in a couple days after that, so I was like, just try and tough it out until your appointment. So the next day, I couldn't keep any food down. Then the day after that, was the day of my doctor's appointment. Still couldn't keep any food down. So I had been almost 3 days without food at that point. I went to my doctor and she sent me immediately to the hospital. And then I spent another week in the hospital. Turns out that a few of the stones, very tiny ones, so they couldn't see it on the scan, they called it sludge, because they're so little, they just kind of look like a sludge, had moved into my bile duct before my surgery. So they took out the gallbladder, but the bile duct was already blocked from some stones. So I ended up having to have a scope, which is, they put it down your throat, go in there, clean out the duct, and they widened my duct a bit while they were in there. I don't really know how they do that. Doesn't sound good. And after that, things started to improve because my bile duct was blocked. My bilirubin levels, which is it's a toxin basically that goes through your body and gets all the stuff out of your body. My bilirubin levels were so high because it was blocked and couldn't filter that I had turned like yellow. I was scary looking. My eyeballs are still in the corners. You can't really see it on camera, but in the corners they were so yellow. It was scaring me. I was afraid they would never go back to normal. And so finally, my body is free of all that stuff. And it's been almost, I think, 2 weeks since I got out of the hospital after my scope. And so my levels are returning to normal. It's still going to take a bit more time. But I don't have a follow-up for another couple weeks. So hopefully by then I'll be completely back to normal. So that is what has been going on. It's been an exhausting month, guys. So sorry I haven't been around to talk to you guys, but I was kind of like trying not to die. Yeah, it wasn't fun. 10 out of 10 would not recommend. Try to be healthy and avoid cholesterol and keep your gallbladder healthy. And if you have any questions about the surgery or anything, leave them down below. It was pretty exhausting. Thankfully, it was a laparoscopic surgery. So instead of making one big incision, they do 4 little ones, and they go in with scopes and cameras and, I don't know, freaky tools. Stanley, are you all right? Come here. Stanley has something to say. Say hi. Say hello. Where are you going? He just had dinner and he has the crazies after he eats dinner. Stanley, look at the audience. He's so pretty, but he's just so crazy sometimes. It's like a madhouse in here. Craziness. Well, thank you for listening if you made it this far in the video. I know this was a long one, but I kind of had a lot to tell you guys. And I'm all about transparency. So, I'm happy to say that every other part of my body is still healthy. They did a lot of scans when I was in the hospital. I had MRIs, I had CTs, I had everything. And they kept being very confused after my surgery. They were really confused because they were doing these scans and they were like, everything else looks healthy. Like, all your organs are good. Your liver looks perfect, but you have high bilirubin levels, which it was very confusing. They finally figured it out. So that is my story of how I lost Golly. R.I.P. Golly. We miss you. Except for the pain you were causing. Don't miss that. But my recovery is going to take a while. I'm still not allowed to lift over 15 pounds for another couple weeks. So I want to get back to the gym this week though, but just take it very easy. Start on the treadmill, do some walking, some light exercises, no heavy weights or anything, and work my way back to a normal life. So that is the plan. And I will bring you guys along with me on this. I feel like I'm starting back at square one, but on a positive note, I've lost some more weight. So it's gonna take me a while to get back to normal though. My energy levels are still really low. I was told it can take like 6 weeks before you start to feel like yourself again. So I have a few weeks to go. And I've got some exciting stuff planned for the next few months that I gotta get better for, so I can go snowboarding soon. I've been like missing some prime time snowboarding this year. It's been a killer season and there's been a lot of snow, and I've been like watching on Instagram from my hospital room. So depressing. So we got a plan. That's what's been going on. That's my life. And I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.